Hello family, Jack here in search of purpose today, and I wanted to just make this video to encourage you to evaluate what's really important in your life and make some decisions and get yourself aligned with your goals and with your passion, because I'm one wonderful example of what happens when an event occurs. For me, it was a stroke maybe 6 months ago. This is March the 6th, 2026 when I'm recording this. And we had been down in Florida helping out a friend who just lost her husband. And my wife Angie and I came back to our boat here in Maryland, where we live, and something occurred. We had left to go help our friend, thinking that our boat had been sold. We hadn't received any money yet, but we had a commitment from a buyer, and the buyer actually moved on board. Unfortunately, at our marina, or maybe fortunately, my wife and I were the only liveaboards, or actually we were the last liveaboards that were granted permission, if you will. And here we are. We came back to no buyer. A couple of nights ago, he just kind of bailed on us and said, nope, I've got other things that he had to do. He had a death in the family. His brother passed. So circumstances change, and therefore our circumstances have materially changed. We were planning on taking that money and using it kind of as our seed fund and jumping in the motor coach. We have a 1994 Serengeti, and Safari Serengeti, and boy, that has not worked out, because with my stroke, I would love to say that I'm completely back to normal, and that is not true. Left side is way weaker than it was, and there's just, general issues that come along with the body repairing itself, and it's only been 6 months. So I think that as time goes by, I will get better and better, because I'm working at it. And the important thing is, now that we've had this event, we need to restructure and consider what is next for us. Angie is ready to get off the boat, my wife, and I'm thinking, well, it kind of makes sense to stay because of economics. The economics of where we live currently is very inexpensive, a couple of grand a year for the boat slip, live aboard, and our membership to the yacht club, maybe $600 a year. So from a financial standpoint, show me an apartment that you can get for about, $300 a month, that's livable in a beautiful area, that's safe. And that's a tough find. Not that it's impossible. I'm sure that there is something out there, and we may be able to find it. And if we do, great. However, until we do, staying put is a really good, very smart idea for us. Now for you, I don't know what your circumstances are. I don't know if you live in a house or an apartment or your car. I've done that before. And no matter what, you still need to have a passion. You have to have something that, in my opinion, living for today is really important, but you do need to have something to look forward to. And there's a couple of attitudes that I've adopted over the decades, and that is that everything happens for a reason and a purpose, and it happens to help you and teach you. So no matter what occurs, there's a lesson in that, and there's an opportunity in that if you allow it. And you have to have an allowance for events. Mine was a pretty big one, I think. Not as big as some. A lot of people that have a stroke end up in a wheelchair, can't speak, certainly can't drive. And I have all of that. So you have to look at the upside of your circumstance. Maybe you lost a job, maybe your relationship is ending. And I've had all of those things happen. As a matter of fact, quick story. And doing what you love to do. Many years ago, I was involved with a company that it was a trade and barter company. And I was kicking ass. I enjoyed it very much. I understood the concept. And I was making great sales. As a matter of fact, the president of the company had come to me and said, "How is it you're bringing in all these big people?" And I just said, "Well, I explain it, and they get it, and they want to be part of it." And one day he calls me into his office, and I'm thinking, "Ooh, goody, goody. I probably am going to get a raise or a promotion or something." I was the director of marketing and sales at that point. And when I came in, he was not looking good. He was kind of twisting a button and digging a toe, and the vice president was in there with him. And instead of getting a promotion or a raise for all of that hard work, I got fired. And to the gentleman's credit, the vice president said, "It was me. I got you fired. Because you're a young guy." Right now I'm 68, not a young guy. But back then I was, probably mid-30s. And he said, "You can do anything." And by the way, I believed him. He said, "But for me," and this guy was in his late 50s, he said, "This is all I can do. And if I don't get rid of you right now, you're going to take my spot." And in pretty short order, he said, "I've called in all my favors and I've gotten rid of you." And there you go. So I then had to switch gears very quickly from being kind of the top dog in this company to not having a job and still having a house, a wife, a child, and all of the things that go along with that. So I needed to shift gears, and I did. I'm not even sure what I did immediately thereafter, but it didn't take very long for me to figure out that I'd be just fine. Just like that vice president said. He said, you're young, you can do anything." So I did. I've done amazing things. I've gone from there, and I have been involved in the fitness industry and insurance and real estate and management consulting sales and radio, home improvement sales. There's been a lot of things. Personal development work. I've always been a coach, so I've always helped people to achieve their goals. And that's my purpose here, is to help you to achieve your goals. And one of the first things that one can do is to sit back and maybe take out a pen and paper and write down some of the things that you would really like to do. Don't worry about whether it's possible. That's an interesting word, because I don't think anything is impossible. But once you write down what you want to do, it's amazing that clarity can help you to attract that to you. It's kind of harmonizing with the vibration of that. And one of the easiest things that I found to do is to go, I wonder if I did whatever, or I haven't done this yet, but I think that it would be pretty cool. And sometimes, if you're just open to an opportunity, it will provide itself. I remember one time I had just left a management consulting company. I mentioned that I'd done that very successfully. However, they were not meeting my standards, meaning I would tell the client something was going to happen based on my training, and then I found out by doing follow-up that they were not doing it. Therefore, in my opinion, I couldn't let the company make me into a liar, so I let the company know that I was resigning effective immediately based on a conversation that I had with one of my clients that was not properly being served yet. And the guys that were the clients, they said, "Jack, what are you doing?" Because I actually resigned while I was in the meeting with them. Got on the phone, called them up, said, "I'm done. All you've got to do to get me to come back is to fix these guys." Well, I'd like to tell you that they did. But the truth is, they didn't. However, very quickly, I was driving back from somewhere and I got a phone call, and I got it from my ex-wife. And she said, you know, I just heard this commercial and it made me think about you. And it was a commercial for radio sales, which I had never done. But long story short, I made a phone call. Turns out that the sales manager for that radio company was a friend of mine. And he brought me in, gave me a bunch of tests, and hired me on the spot at my chosen salary, because the first offer they gave me, I said, no, it's been great seeing you, dude, and left. And I was maybe 20 minutes down the road and I got another phone call. And in that phone call, they agreed to my terms. And from there, it was about learning how to do that business. But let's get back to you planning your life and doing the things that you love. See, I love sales. I love helping people. I love communicating. I love the idea that I can figure something out and present that in such a way that the client would benefit. I would benefit also. That's the best part about commission sales. If you do a good job, you're well compensated. And I was doing a great job. As a matter of fact, I did such a good job there that the sales manager, not the guy that initially hired me, but the general manager, felt intimidated because I had done something he said could not be done. I was getting a bunch of high fives and, you did it, Jack, yay. Well, that was another learning experience that sometimes it's time to transition. So let's get back to you again. Pick what you want to do, and certainly be aware of the opportunities that are presenting themselves. I've always been comfortable. If something felt right, I could get in there and do a good job. And I think that that's true of almost anything if you put yourself and apply yourself to it. But you have to have some passion for it. So I've been very aware of what felt right and what did not feel right. And I've certainly walked away from things that did not feel right. And I've been terminated from things where it was time for me to move on. I think the universe will step in and help to usher you into the next phase. So in this phase right now, my dreams of being a professional football player have just been dashed. That's a joke. But the stroke has made it more challenging to do a number of things. However, guess what? I can be in front of the camera and I can share the things that I've learned in a lifetime of teaching, coaching, training, and helping people to achieve goals. In this particular venue, you spending a little time with you can possibly help you out of a dead-end job. Maybe it's not a dead-end job. It's just one that's soul-sucking and you just can't stand being in it. Well, life is short. You never know what's going to happen. So therefore, in my opinion, you're far better off exploring while you have something. Actually, there's an old saying, best time to get a job is when you have a job. Well, if you do have a job, great. And look for the things that you might be more passionate about. If you don't have a job, well, there's a lot of freedom, because now you can go and do almost anything. Maybe it's time to do something that you don't see as a career, but just kind of as a short-term gig. You might enjoy doing, I don't know, Uber. There's a lot of things that you might be able to do on the short term. As a matter of fact, one of my coaches said, it's amazing. You can do almost anything for 24 hours. And if you break up your time into, all I've got to do is finish today. That's it. And if I get a chance and I wake up tomorrow morning, all I've got to do is finish tomorrow morning through the end of that day. And if you live that way, you can accomplish things and you can do things that would appall you if you thought you had to do it for 6 months, a year, 10 years. But if all you're concerned about is one day, you can do almost anything for one day. Might be a good title for this video, actually. Do what you love, and you can do anything for a day. So, weeks in between, take the time, figure out what you're interested in, figure out what you're passionate about, but also, as soon as you start looking There's an old saying, look and you shall, or actually ask and you shall receive, but also, if you look for something, you just might find it. So today's your day to start looking. If you're ready for that next phase of life, and if you're not ready for the next phase of life, you can certainly at least optimize your chances of succeeding and getting something that you're interested in by knowing what that is. Take time. Don't worry about whether it's quote unquote possible. Just go ahead and make that list of the things that you are interested in. And then just kind of wonder a little bit. Just imagine what it might look like or feel like if you were having that job, career opportunity, hobby, business, whatever it happens to be for you. And now you have the opportunity to be able to give yourself that chance. Life is beautiful. And I hope that this has inspired you to do something, to be able to bring yourself in line with doing what you love instead of doing what you quote unquote have to do. At the end of it all, I doubt seriously that anybody is going to be saying, oh my God, he did such a good job just staying at the office, and that's all he ever did. Okay. I think you'd be better off doing what you love doing so that at the end of it, at least you had the ride that you wanted to have. Anyway, have a blessed day. Love you guys. Jack McAdory signing off. Until the next time, do what you love.